Awesome. And thank you so much for your service. We've talked before, and that's just so awesome. We were talking right before we started recording. You originally started in the National Guard,
Right,
and then 9/11 hit,
right.
and you went active duty then, right?
Yeah, so the funny thing was is I was in what we called AIT, Advanced Individual Training. So kind of like your school after you go through basic combat training. And we weren't even finished yet. I was going through the armor course for 19 kilo, which is a tanker. I wanted to be a tanker and shoot big guns and stuff like that. But um, right after the towers fell, I remember my drill sergeants coming in. They're like, "Hey, you guys are going to Afghanistan. You're going to be infantry." And I was like, "Infantry? I didn't sign up for this, right?" And I was like, "All right, I'm good with it, whatever." So that didn't happen, obviously. Um, After that, when I got back to my unit, I just felt a very strong calling to deploy. And I left actually before we invaded Iraq. And when I went active duty, I was stationed at Fort Hood and kind of like the cavalry life. I was in the Seventh Cav. That's where I got my first. I cut my teeth at in combat. Was in the Seventh Cavalry. So very interesting, very prestige history. I got to meet some pretty solid guys that were at LZ X-ray, which is from the movie We Were Soldiers.
Yep.
Got to meet General Moore. Got to meet Plumley, retired Command Sergeant Major Plumley. Obviously,
And that's
before they
that's like
passed.
that's like military royalty right there.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it was a very interesting time, especially when you're young and you don't really know anything, and you're coming in, and then the next thing you know, you're watching a movie about your unit that you just came to because you got to have that history, right?
Yeah.
And then meeting those guys within the next week, and it's like, what? So it was really cool. And then after that, I kind of uh, went to a lot of places, fell in love with some unique units that I worked with, and uh, that's all I wanted to do was go out, serve, deploy, do whatever needs to be done. But um, I know I got my fill of it, and I came back. When was it? 08, 2008. I just had enough. I spent 4 years just back to back, just going, and
That's tough.
it yeah, it ruined my first marriage, which was really hard. But I was trying to think, what could I do to continue that purpose and serve? So I joined law enforcement, and that's how I came into that, which led me back into the National Guard because I couldn't walk away. I had 8 years
Yeah.
of service. By that point, you're almost halfway done, so you want to serve and continue that, and that's what I did. I joined the Guard and um, started doing more deployments, unfortunately. So
So and that's the kind of the nice thing is you took your experience and you moved it over into the civilian world
right,
with law enforcement. So it's kind of like you've got all this training. What do you do with it? And
right,
then you do that, and then you stay in the guard as well. So you kind of get that both the best of both worlds,
right.
and then you slowly make that transition over.
Right. Yeah, and I mean it was hard because when you go from being somebody that's seen all the things that I've seen during some of the deployments and losing some people that you're really close to. I mean, it's a hard transition back to civilian life. Like they don't teach you that. When you go through basic training, they tear you down and now you're built back up to be, a warrior per se. And then when you get out, it's like you don't have that transition. And they try.
Yeah,
And I mean, I've done it. They try, but they just don't hit the mark. But
yeah. I,
yeah,
I know a lot of people that have served and have come out and have had a hard transition. And one of the things that drives me nuts is that we're really good at spinning wars up.
Yeah.
We're really crappy of dealing with the aftermath
Yeah.
when everybody's coming back home,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, look, bad stuff happens, right?
Right.
And then, we get back and they're like, okay, we have the VA. Well, then you have, I mean, you look at the waiting list to get into the VA, right?
I mean, I will tell you, having gone through the process, like it would disgust people if they saw exactly what I went through as a wounded warrior. Whenever I got hurt on deployment and then came back and I had to go through the whole medical process to the point where I had to file a congressional to get my benefits turned back on while I was still active duty going through medical. And then them trying to refrat me, which refratting is when they send you back and say, all right, we're done with you. You're good to go. And they send you back to your unit. Well, I still needed emergency surgeries and I couldn't get medical equipment that I needed, just all these things that just, it's disgusting. And then, you know, I hate to say it, but we had suicides in our unit. Why? Why did a wounded warrior feel like he had to take his life? Because we
Yeah,
don't get treated with respect and we don't get cared for. They think we're shamming, and that's what a lot of it is you get people that come in that want to take advantage of the system and try to play it, and it hurts the
yeah,
rest of us. I'll say that.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Because there's been people I've talked to. In my day job, I've had several vets that have served that have come back, and I've talked to them. And sometimes they have some problems, and I'm sitting down talking to them like, "Hey, look, man, I know you. I know your personality and stuff. Something's off, right?
mhm,
I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, go get some help, right?
right,
Because I don't want to hear that you're going to be one of the 22 push-ups."
yeah,
I don't want that for you. So, and then, they go off, get some help, and then, it's all good when you come back. I don't care. Um,
yeah,
but then that's the thing is that, anybody that needs help, get it. Don't you're not
yeah.
alone. There's so many people you can talk to.
Yeah, and there's so many services out there, especially if you're a veteran. I mean, Military One Source, call them. Eh, They'll
Yeah.
get you taken care of. I promise you that. I've had to use them not for that specific thing, but for other things that I needed help with, and they helped me out. So, I mean, there's programs out there. If you're a Wounded Warrior Project's another good thing. Team RWB is another good one. Um, I would say the VA, but it just depends. Like it's hit or miss. Like I'll tell you
Yeah.
this: I have never fought with the VA about anything. Anything. I came back and it was easy. They were like, dude, you're like jacked up. You blew out your hips. You completely like I lost feeling in one of my right foot where I completely destroyed that hip and all this other stuff that happened with it. And they were like, yep, 100%. Here you go. No fight. But the army, I fought with them every step of the way, every
Yeah.
step of the way, and it was sad to see that. But even now, with my VA transition, if I need something, it's pretty easy to get it. But I don't. I could say from my dad's perspective because he's a wounded warrior as well. He's retired military. Um, he's had more problems than I've had, which is crazy because he lives close to a military installation.
Man.
you know? So it's hit or
Yeah.
miss.